Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight. And tonight you did only me because Rhonda had a work thing and she wasn't able to get situated before the end of the show. So, and I'm getting over some nasal and coughing. So hopefully I won't be coughing through the show. But I'm on the backside of what it was. This is a bug just caught me. Normally I'm able to fight them off. But anyway, welcome to the show. And we have another amazing lineup. For those who are interested in attending the festival, if you're an author or a publisher, we have a handful and I can put them on one hand of spaces left. We've had a couple of cancellations. So if you do still want to participate, you can sign up on our website. And we have a lot that we'll be doing. If you go to the website now, the hour by hour schedule of activities is there. You can see everything that will be happening from beginning to end. Also, you'll see a list of all the participating authors by category. And I think that's it. If you won a book last week, and a young lady did, she needs to, I think her first name was Brenda. She needs to DM her address so we can send her book. So we don't have a book to give away. I could, but with Rhonda not being here, I don't like to try to do double duty. But we do have a great lineup. And so I'm going to bring on our first guest. Oh, the all important thing before I bring the first guest on, this show will be celebrating our 800th guest on the show. Not 800th interview, 800th guests. We've interviewed 800 people. Our final guest is number 800. So that's very exciting. We have been consistent. We have longevity. We aren't fly by night. We didn't quit when it got tough. We tried to keep the show innovative and we keep trying to do fresh things so it doesn't get boring. But we always have, with 800 guests, we don't have the same lineup every week. So we have new people that you can meet all the time. And so Doris Allen is our first guest for tonight. She's not new to the show, but she's doing some new things. So we wanted her to give us an update on what she's doing. And also just talk a little bit about the book industry and where it stands in terms of African American literature. Doris and I have been sharing some things offline, just talking about where things are positioned and what we can do as supporters, readers, book clubs, bookstores, people in the industry, what we can do to make sure African American literature is always available and always growing and making it profitable for the people who are involved. I think too many times, and I know you're not a Doris, but too many times we have a tendency to think that people who do things for our community should be sacrificed, take a vow of poverty. We shouldn't be paid. We should just do it because it's necessary. Meanwhile, those people saying that, they have paying jobs.
Also, yeah. And I was reading this Black Owned by Shar Adam on my way here. And I read the whole thing, and it is a history of the Black owned bookstores and just Black bookstores and just owned by Black people, no matter however you want to differentiate. But one part she talked about was how Zane used to be self-published, and there were a couple of other self-published, when we weren't really that popular. And then how Barnes and Nobles came in and started profiting off of, our authors and then not allowing the Black-owned bookstores to actually host these authors. So that was like right on time with what you said. I highly recommend this. He speaks about a lot of Black-owned bookstores that are currently here, currently still in business, some that have gone out of business. There were some activists that I had never heard of who had really, given above and beyond. Some of them have gone on to glory just based on the FBI, like following them and all of the things. So please get up. This is so good, so informative. Really encourages you to make sure that you support your local Black-owned bookstores and Black entrepreneurs because we're dwindling.
There's another book called Prose to the People, and that is more of a coffee table book. I don't know if you know about that. It came out by Katie Mitchell. That came out about 6 months ago, I want to say. And it's more of a presentation, like of the different bookstores. It's not like a critique
Right.
of the industry. So that the book that you have sounds more like a
This
critique.
is Star's a journalist, and so she was inspired by an article about the FBI, how they used to pro us. And so that inspired her to dig deeper and like interview a lot of whoever she could find from like the 60s who could really give her some in-depth information. There was also, I have so many pages dog-eared here, Ruggles. Uh, he was extremely influential, and he was around the time of Frederick Douglass, and so he was, part of. He called him actually the officer. Frederick Douglass called him the first officer of the Underground Railroad, and he was hell bent to make sure that Black people, although it was against the law, were able to have reading rooms and learn and share with each other. And so, it really is a great read,
Mm.
especially now. I had a project where I had to, because on my Bookstagram, I post like on bookstores, and I haven't done it in a while because, as you said, I have a new role. And I did it maybe a year ago, and then I had to do something for work, and I maybe had a list of 20, and out of those 20, maybe five still had brick and mortars. A lot of them have had to go to either nonprofit or just completely online because it's just not sustainable. And then the others, they have three, four, five bookstores in one, it's really, really interesting to see.
Hmm. So, before we go further, because I do want to talk more about that as well, but for the audience, tell us just who you are and what you're doing now. Like, give us
Okay.
some
So
background, because you've been with the big publishing houses and so forth. So just
yes,
tell them
I
who you are.
I am a publishing professional, one of very few Black publishing professionals who have worked at the Big Five. I worked at HarperCollins for 15, almost 16 years. The last time I was on here, I think we were on strike.
Yes, yes.
And so that was a mess. And then I went to nonprofit. I worked at Barbershop Books, and then I worked at Life Camp, which is a um, anti-gun violence organization in my community, and then the Books Club Colony. So now I am a sales rep for Scholastic, and I also run the We Need Diverse Books Black Creatives Fund, which is geared toward Black writers to foster their talent. We have workshops. We currently have a revision workshop, which is actually one that I did 2 or 3 years ago, where you revise your book with either an editor or an author established, and then you have 6 months, and at the end, it's kind of a competition, and you have the possibility of getting a book deal with Penguin Random House. And we just started in August this new cohort, but our last cohort ended a couple of months ago, and our winner, Lucius, he actually won, and he got a two-book deal from Storehouse Voices, which is the new imprint run by Jen Baker and a couple of other really great Black women. And so proud of him, so excited. Really just a great safe space that's actually a safe space. And so
Mm.
we make sure that the programming is, you know, in American all the way through. Your person that you're working with, the people that come and speak to you. We just had Jada Johnson, who's a book coach, and she's also an editor and an author, and she's just amazing. And she walked them through the inside outline where you outline your story and you know, take away the things that might not be driving it. And then we also have plenty of grants. So please come on to the We Need Diverse Books website and go under Black Creatives or anywhere and see, you know, what could benefit you, because we have lots of great programming. We also have the Stories Save Lives initiative, which was I think the first big event we had was in March, the day before the Walter Awards, and it was really amazing. We had it was in Washington D.C. Jason Reynolds was there. Jacqueline Woodson was there. Oh, there were so many authors, lots and lots of community figures, and it was really beautiful. And it just was, you know, just celebrating storytelling. There are lots of all bookstore owners, Black, white, and green, who are extremely concerned about the bans and are hell bent on making sure that there's representation on the shelves. So that is really, really great. And I also write book reviews for Publishers Weekly for Black authored books. And yeah.
Okay, and We Need Diverse Books is a much appreciated supporter of the National Black Book Festival. They give um, children's books to us for our children's festival. So between what they contributed and also what the children's authors that are there contribute, we make sure every child who comes gets a free book. So that way, people who may not have money to buy books, every child walks away with at least one book. And so we really do appreciate that. But yeah, but take advantage of the things that are out there and available. And you mentioned a couple of things. Um, One, you mentioned Zane, and we had, I don't know if I told you, we had a brick and mortar store for 10 years. Did I tell you that?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's part of my journey
the Kush
in the book
City, right?
industry. Yes, Kush City,
Yes,
which is still the parent company for everything we do.
yes,
But we had a Kush City brick and mortar store for 10 years. And so when people have a bookstore and it comes and goes or it doesn't last, a lot of times when we're entrepreneurs are very optimistic people, we tend to believe that if we build it, they will come. And and sometimes what happens with the black bookstores, they'll have a launch and they'll have very strong support when they open, but you can't just support them when they open. You have to be going there, like going to the grocery store almost every week or every other week, at
right.
least. And you don't necessarily have to buy anything when you go in, but you should support them financially because they can't, having books on the shelves does not make money. They only make money when they
Right,
sell a book. And
right.
so a lot of times what people, self-published authors or people who are indies, they would want us to put their books in the store. We had a program where it sent us two books and we put it on our table. And if it moves, we had like a bargain book table. And if it sold, like if people were interested, then we would place an order. But you can't just order books and they don't sell because then you'll be drowning. The inventory will drown you. And I one young lady was just recently on who was opening a bookstore like soon, like she's been on in the last month. And I told her that the overhead is a beast that has to be fed every month. It's a beast. And
Yeah,
that's what makes stores go under. They just can't keep the overhead, the rent, the utilities. If you have to pay people, you have to pay yourself, you have to order inventory. And you have to be constantly reordering because you can't just keep old books on the shelf. You have to be ordering what's new and what the new releases. And then uh, if you get, the people you buy from, either the publishers or the distributors, you have to pay them up front or what. And it's the whole thing. It's very financially drowning. It's like being in an ocean and you're just like treading water and without a life raft or anything. You just it's tough. And so the people who've been able to keep theirs going for years, you mentioned COINTELPRO, Hakeem's bookstore in Philly. They've been around, and she said her father started the store, and the FBI was watching him.
Yes, it's in here. She's
It's
got a
in there.
picture of him.
Okay.
She told the whole story. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, we don't have those problems now.
No.
And yeah, some books are being banned, but what I tell people, they're not being banned from Earth. They're being banned in limited places. You can still go anywhere and order it. You can go on Amazon and order it. You can buy the book. It's just schools that they're limiting, some schools at
Right.
certain levels. But the books themselves are not like being banned from America or anything like that.
Right.
I think
Exactly.
sometimes people think, no,
And
that's not
depending
true.
on the book, you might want it to teach it at home as opposed to it being taught in school, depending
Right.
on
You
who's
yeah.
teaching it.
Yeah,
So
you can still read it. And so I don't want people to get emotionally caught up in that.
I
Um
think they're really riled up. Just the fact or the thought of you trying to ban something, I think really riles people up and makes them want to get more of it just because, like, who are you to tell me that I can't read this or that my child can't read this? So I hope that they do get riled up and get those books off of the shelves in our bookstore.
yeah, well, and they're most likely in black bookstores. But you can call Barnes and Nobles and ask them to order you a book or whoever. You can still get the books. The
You
only
don't want
thing
to call
about
Barnes and
yeah,
Noble.
yeah, or in the independent
They're
bookstore.
doing a little thing where they're purchasing, independently owned bookstores, kind of like a little uh
Hmm.
gentrification, but through the bookstore way. So
Oh,
yeah.
really? Okay, I hadn't really
They
heard
bought
about that.
tattered, what was it? Tattered, whatever it was, the tattered thing that they bought. And then they were trying to buy, it was in Publishers Weekly bookstore. So that's
Okay,
something to
I
keep
have to.
an eye on because
Okay,
yeah.
that reminds me. The funeral business went through that. I don't know. See, my dad, he's passed, but he was in the funeral business. And the
Oh, God
big
bless him.
like white funeral conglomerates were buying up black funeral homes, but they were keeping the people in the front office. So
Wow.
people didn't know it, but they were
Right.
offering money, and it was good business. Um,
That's
but
funny you said
yeah,
that. I have a
yeah.
Carvel, which is an ice cream shop in my neighborhood, which is a predominantly black neighborhood. And my husband went in there to get a cake or something, somebody's birthday, and we didn't get great customer service. And so when he started talking, somebody was like, "Yeah, this is not even owned by this is owned by a white man. He comes and opens it early in the morning, 6 o'clock, and then all think that it's black. It's not."
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the ownership is different from
Working,
who you
right?
see on the
Yes.
ground in the
Yeah.
store itself.
I met a woman at Winter Institute and I'm like, "Oh, do you own a bookstore?" She's like, "Oh no, it's not black owned, it's black work." I'm like, got you.
Yeah, yeah, that happens. So, um, we need to support Black literature wherever it's sold, but
Yes,
we definitely
absolutely.
need to support Black bookstores. One thing that Zane did, and I don't know if you're familiar with that, because it wasn't really public. We knew about it because we had the brick and mortar. But when Zane first came on the scene, Zane was just writing like stories online. This was like when they had chat rooms and things like that.
Hmm.
And then she was putting her short stories in a book that she would like just get done at Kinko's, which is now FedEx office. She would
Right.
just bind it like that. But then when she actually ended up doing books, she only sold them in Black bookstores. which forced Black readers to go to a Black bookstore to get it.
Right. Well, that was smart of her. That,
Yes.
yeah, that was great. One of the stories she told was that Terry McMillan, um, after she had only been in Black stores, and she finally got signed, and then they were only booking her for the white stores until the Blacks were like upset. But then she got upset because she's like, why are you trying to like talk trash about me when I'm out here just trying to sell my book? So maybe she didn't understand like what all was happening. But that
Mhm.
was pretty interesting to read because I hadn't remembered that happening.
Yeah, that happens a lot in the book industry. When a Black author is like on the rise, the people managing their tours are not Black.
No,
And so they don't book them in Black venues very
no,
often. It's
no.
difficult to get them to even, or Black events, Black book events, or Black stores. They'll send them on a tour and there won't be one Black bookstore on the tour.
Yeah.
But the
Oh, I
tour
know.
is being run by somebody who's not Black. And then
Yeah.
I guess the author they just go along with whatever is being done.
Right, because they're so happy to have the deal. I
Right.
remember, I think it was Kylie. Oh, what did she write? She wrote the blue book with the yellow things on it. I can't think of her last name, but I remember watching her on like the North Carolina Book Fest a couple years back, saying that like when she came in, they had all the Black people around, and then when she actually was signed and she came back, she wanted to ask like what happened to all the Black people, but she was just so happy to have her book signed that she was just like,
Right.
I'll roll with it. But I
Mhm.
always tell authors that, please speak up because there's very few of us in publishing and very few that actually have a voice that gets listened to. So if you're saying it and we're saying it, then they might take it into account. But if we're the only one saying it, then that means absolutely nothing to them because they know better than we do, not us.
Yeah, well, that's their view, so they're wrong.
Yeah,
But that's how the industry is, and it's amazing how in 2025 that it's like this, and it's like this with New York based publishers
yeah.
who supposedly New York is supposed to be liberal. It's supposed
Yeah,
to be
well,
open.
that's a joke. I
But
don't think it matters if you're liberal, if you're whatever.
yeah,
I think the
yeah,
publishing industry was created for a certain reason by certain people, and
right.
they make sure that it stays that
In
way.
the control
Right.
within their control,
Yep.
and they feel like they know better, and they really see if you allow the Black bookstores to get the big names, that will help them make money,
Right.
but they don't care about that because
No,
they have no thought about it at all. So
no.
unless the only time now you can do a workaround, which I've been doing stuff 25 years. You have to reach the person directly.
Right.
If you're able to find their contact information, which isn't always
Hmm.
easy, you have to really do some
Yeah.
detective
And
work.
it's always who you know, not what you know. So as long as you
Right,
have one little contact that you can work, you can work it out. You can figure it out.
right. And that's the
Yes.
truth.
But it's
So,
funny you said that because when I did read that about Zane earlier, I was thinking, because as you know, from the first time I did the workshop, I wrote a book. That's a mystery, but it is set in the publishing industry. And I have gotten several rejections. And I realized like nobody's going to sign it because it is a true testament as to how the publishing industry works from a Black woman's perspective. And so while they say, oh, yeah, we want diversity and put the Black box up and all of these things, I really don't
yeah,
mean that.
no,
I
no.
mean, when the George Floyd thing happened and we were, still going to work and everything and having these town halls that nobody wanted to have, I remember getting an out of office from like two of my white colleagues, like, oh, I'm standing in solidarity with, my Black colleagues. Meanwhile, we're at work. So it's like, if I want my this particular story to be told, I think I'm going to have to go that route as well because nobody's going to publish it because it's just so, um, it's an honest account of the publishing industry.
Well, have you sent it to Black Odyssey?
Have not.
Try them.
Okay.
Try them. If you need some names, I'll give them to you off camera.
I shall email you.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, tell us. We only have 4 minutes left, Doris. Tell us about We Need Diverse Books and some more of the things that you're doing, and also you're doing some things with Scholastic.
Yes,
So,
that is my new job. I am a district sales manager for Scholastic. I cover the NEBA and SEBA territories, so that's a lot of the North and some of the South. And I really love it. I just went to New Voices, New Rooms in Atlanta. I did it was a convention. It was both NEBA and SEBA, so I got to see a lot of my accounts. I had two tables. I had a spinning wheel. It was lit. We had karaoke. It was wonderful. We had giveaways. It was really great. I got to meet a lot of wonderful bookstore owners who I hadn't previously met, or see some other ones like Julia Davis from the bookworm of Powder Springs, who I love to death. She's such a sweetheart, and she is the president of SEBA. So it was really great to meet her, and DJ from Baldwin's, and Bunny from Brave and Kind. And then I met a bunch of authors, but they were all adult authors mostly. But it was just a really great time. So if anyone is who wonders like, oh, should I come to one of these? You should come, find us, and we will, commune together. It's not always the pictures that you see. There are some of us in there. Might not be that many of us, but we're there.
well, that's good to know. I don't know if we talked about I had talked about this last week with Entice and Rhonda, but since then we communicated offline about Walmart and how they really de-emphasize books in the Walmart stores. So I a year and a half ago, so this was before this wasn't since the election or anything. This was like a year and a half ago. The Walmart in my area redesigned their stores. They did like a reboot of their stores. And they used to have the books close to the front where you could actually go and browse and look, like you could casually browse books. And when they redesigned the store, I went in one day and I'm like, well, where are the books? They moved the books, all of
To the
them,
back.
to the furthest. You can't go any further back in the back of Walmart. It's the back of the back of the back of the store in a corner.
Yep.
Nobody who reads books would go back there.
No. Yeah.
So, and you would never get a casual browser
No.
because
Who's
they
going
they
back
can't
there?
find them. Nobody.
Yeah. You're
So
right.
so Walmart is de-emphasizing books.
Because they don't
And
want the heat that Target got, so they're probably just trying to do it quietly.
well, this happened before. That's what I'm saying. This was before Target. This was before all of that.
Oh,
This was a year and a half ago.
okay. Well,
So
I was
it
just
was
in North
before.
Carolina, and the books were in the back because I did see Blood in the Water, and one of my previous cohorts' book, Haley, her book, This Ravenous Fate. But I was coming from the automotive part, coming up here,
Okay,
and
yeah,
it was in the back.
right,
But
right.
my boss was in, I think he said he went to Montana or one of those states, and he said the books were in the. So maybe it depends on who you
Maybe it
are.
depends on
In
the
charge of
Walmart.
people who are redesigning if they're, into books or not. Because if you're not into books, you don't care. You'll put them anywhere. But if you
That's
are, then you
true.
might be like, right.
Well, the way they have them, they may as well just not have books at all because nobody. And when I went back there last week, I didn't see the only black book that was there was a children's book about Simone Biles. I didn't
Well,
see one other book. Now, I know black books. I looked twice and three times. I didn't see one black author's name. There were no black faces on the covers. That's one thing you can tell. But I know the authors in the industry that are publishing books, and they basically had like James Patterson and names like that. And then they had some children's books. They had more children's books than they did adults. But
Yeah,
they're de-emphasizing books, or maybe that particular location also they
maybe.
probably don't have a lot of big demand, but why even have it? Why
Right.
even
Just
do
make a
it?
magazine aisle.
Nobody's gonna go there. So anyway,
Nobody's doing that.
no, we're at the end of our time, Doris, but thank you so much.
Okay.
And Doris is going to be in the house at the National Black Book Festival this year. So I look forward to seeing you next month.
I look
And
forward to seeing you too. Thanks for having me, Gwen.
okay, and safe travels. I know you're on the road, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you signing on the road from
absolutely.
Memphis.
Anything for you, Gwen. Thank you so
Oh,
much. Have a
okay.
wonderful night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, that was my friend Doris, who also is with We Need to Rich Books, and she's with Scholastic, so she does a lot in the industry. So our next guest is a pastor and author, and he has an interesting theme for some of the community work he's doing, and he's a debt-free advocate as well. And so his name is Dr. DeForest B. And I think his last name is pronounced Soaries Jr. But when he comes on screen, I will find out if that is indeed the correct pronunciation of his last name. So is your last name pronounced Suarez? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, the very sophisticated, high class, well educated folks say Suarez, but most common folk just say Soaries.
Oh, okay. So okay, all right. All right. Well, I'm gonna be sophisticated and say
That's
Suarez
right.
because I'll mess the other one up because I already had Suarez in my mind. So, Dr. Suarez, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Well, thank you for having me and thank you for what you do. We need voices and minds like yours talking serious talk on these platforms. And I'm so inspired by what you're doing. And I know it's not easy. You make it look easy, but I know this is a work of love. It's sacrificial and you pour your life into it. So thank you. Thanks for including me.
Well, thank you for the compliment. And yes, it is a labor of love. We're celebrating our 800th guest.
Wow.
So we have withstood the test of time, and longevity has its advantages
Right.
because a lot of people come and go once they find out that when you do because we started this as a video podcast before podcasts were a thing. you
Right.
know we did it in the wake of COVID because we couldn't do book events, and so we decided to do the weekly show as sort of a replacement so people could stay plugged in. And we just kept it going, and it's grown, and it's a great compliment to the other work we're doing. And my co-host had to work late, so she's not on with us tonight. But I'm a PK, so when I saw that I've heard about your pastoring work. So I know about ministry. My dad was um, he believed in group economics. He supported Black businesses in the Black community where I grew up, which was Newport News, Virginia.
Yeah.
And the church hired a lot of people. We had a daycare center and a home for the elderly back when it was really new,
Hmm.
when a lot of it wasn't really happening a lot. So the work that you're doing about with debt-free advocacy and the community economic work is very admirable. And just tell us a little bit about what you do there. And you're in New Jersey, correct?
Well, I served in New Jersey for 31 years in Central Jersey, First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens. My mentor was from Virginia, Sam Proctor, who was from Virginia. He was president of Virginia Union for a few years, and
Okay.
he moved to New Jersey to be a professor at Rutgers, and he succeeded Adam Clayton Powell as pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. So
Okay.
I have strong connections to the South. My grandmother's from Virginia, and the like.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what happened to me. A couple of things. One, I started out working for Jesse Jackson, And when Reverend Jackson started Operation Push, it was really on an economic agenda. Back in the early 1970s, his theme was the civil rights movement is over because it won, and now we need an economic movement. And Operation Push extended what Dr. King had established in Operation Breadbasket, mainly putting pressure on corporations who took our money but would not give us jobs or contracts. And so I was attracted to that message. I believed in social action. I believed in economic justice, and I got my start there. My father died while I was working for Reverend Jackson. He was 47. My mom was 44. My dad died of medical malpractice. And so I left my work to come help my mother raise my little sister, who was 8. And during that time, I began really thinking about my life and my options. I took my call to ministry seriously, went to Princeton to get my master's degree. Then I got my doctorate degree in Ohio. And by the time I got to First Baptist, it was clear to me that protest was not my destiny. I was organizing, I was protesting, and I just felt like I wanted to be more on the solution side than on just identifying the problems. Although I believe in protest, were it not for protest, I wouldn't be sitting here tonight. But some of us have to craft solutions that are scalable and replicable. And I felt that the Black church was certainly the headquarters for solving problems, particularly in low income Black neighborhoods. So I set about the task of leading this congregation from a very strict traditional Black Baptist church to a more progressive and expansive and holistic church that was doing precisely what you described. We were building not only a new sanctuary, we built affordable housing, we created new businesses, we formed a credit union, we took over abandoned commercial space and formed a health clinic in a neighborhood that had no access to health care. We helped attract a supermarket to what is now called food deserts. And 15 years into my ministry, what I realized was that the church was growing, I mean, exponentially. Our members, every Sunday, people were joining. Our institutions were growing. My staff was growing. But I was concerned that my members, including the upscale, well-educated, well-paid people, were living paycheck to paycheck. You know, I mean, you know, there's a good chunk of people today in this country who make $100,000 a year or more are still living paycheck to paycheck. So I decided halfway through my tenure there, in light of the successes that we had had, that I really should prioritize the financial stability, the financial wellness of my members and their families. You know, we took up the biggest offering, one-day offering we ever took up a few weeks after Hurricane Katrina. In 2005, we had just started this, what we call D-Free movement, and a young, well-educated, good-looking, well-dressed lawyer came up to me and said, I really love the fact that we're helping Katrina victims, and I wish I had money to put in the offering, but I didn't have any money. And he had on a designer suit, he had on a silk tie, you know, he had on nice shoes. I said, look, give me your belt, I'll sell it on eBay and put the money in the offering. I mean, it was obvious to me that he was making money, but he didn't have discretionary money to add, even though his heart was in the right place. And, you know, as preachers, you know, you grew up in church, you know, we preach tithing, tithing, tithing. But, you know, if you're drowning in debt, if you're paying last month's bills with next week's check, I don't care how much you love God and read the Bible, you are not going to tithe, period. And I know my preacher friends get angry at me for saying that, but the reality is if we don't help people manage the money they have, grow their income, and be set up to leave a legacy, then even people who say they're tithing are not tithing. And that's what I talk about in my book.
Well, you've definitely verbalized some of my thoughts and experiences, not just from the church, but I've been an advocate for group economics among Black people for many years. My very first book was on that.
Right.
The title is Why African Americans Can't Get Ahead and How We Can Solve It with Group Economics. And I, you know, went into the history of some efforts at group economics and why they succeeded or didn't succeed. The most successful still, historically, is the Montgomery bus boycott,
Right.
because not only did they make the bus company change, but they actually, and this gets a lot less exposure, but they actually created their own transportation system to make it work.
Right.
And it's very elaborate, very detailed. They didn't keep it going after they got to the front of the bus. And so that's one of the things, one of the challenges with protesting is once the protest ends, then what? And if you don't
Exactly.
have a strategy, like you said,
Right.
to have some solutions, then it's almost like a balloon as the air goes out.
Yeah, I was trained again in protest. I'm one of the best protest organizers you'll find. And so when I got to First Baptist, we were in a section of a pretty well-established community, middle to upper income. And you would look at our neighborhood and you could define the neighborhood as being the victims of political economic neglect, disinvestment. The city had no plan. And I had two choices. I could either go downtown and demand respect and demand that the city change the way they treat us, which basically would have paved the way for gentrification, by the way, because if I had asked them to do what we had to do, then we would be left out. Or we could organize our own community development corporation. We organized literally five nonprofits as extensions of the church, and we rebuilt the neighborhood ourselves. So we attracted
Hmm.
$500 million of private investment money. We built 2,000 units of affordable housing, a health clinic. We built senior citizen housing. And with all of that investment, there was no dislocation, no gentrification. Everybody who lived there before still lives there now if they chose to stay. So I think we have to do both. I think we do need the target type movements where we're speaking truth to power, we're demanding respect, but we also need, as you cited, sustainable institution building where we pool our resources, but it also assumes that we have sufficient resources to invest in something other than cars and clothes and having a good time. And so my program that is written about in the book. The book is not just reading material, it's really a curriculum for a 12-step program. And we have a workbook, we have an online academy, and our results have been quite interesting. We've worked with over 1,000 churches around the country. We are the program for economic education for the Zeta Phi Beta sorority, the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And our data has been quite inspiring. We've been doing this now programmatically for 15 years. This is the 20th year of the brand. But our data says that 90% of the people who finish our program recommend the program to a family member or friend. 93% have reduced their overall debt. 90% increased their savings. 87% in the program with a financial plan. And it's not rocket science. I mean, I'm teaching what my grandmothers knew without any books, without any education. My grandmothers knew live within your means, pay your bills on time, save for a rainy day. They didn't use credit cards. They were either cash and carry or layaway. So what I'm really doing, honestly, is reviving the cultural values that sustain Black people in spite of all of the onslaught of oppression and discrimination, and at the same time elevating biblical principles because, as you know, Black people attend church more than any other group. We're the most religious group in the
Yeah.
country. We give more money to church than anybody else, but we don't seem to attach our religious beliefs to our financial behavior, and that's essentially what I do in the faith-based version of our book.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there with with and in some ways, or some people, and in some settings, really, we're taught. Well, it's like two extremes. We're taught that if we have faith, then that should
Right,
be enough.
right.
Okay, or in the other extreme, your faith should be able to manifest a Maserati. So that's the other
Right. So those
extreme.
are two extremes,
Yeah,
right?
but
Those are
that
two
but
extremes.
that's one.
And neither extreme is healthy, productive,
Right,
or even
or
logical.
factual.
Right. That's not
You know,
factual.
the Bible is teaches you that wealth is gained little by little.
Right. And Jesus said, who would build a tower without first counting the
Out of the
cost?
cost. That's
Called a
right.
budget. Who
Right.
he said if you start it and don't have a budget, you can't finish it. People will laugh at you. So I take these biblical principles again. They're not rocket science. You don't have to be deep. You don't have to have a PhD. They're right there. We learned them in Sunday school. We learned the prodigal son parable, and this young man was afflicted with impatience. He couldn't wait till his dad died. He needed it right now, and that's a part of why we get so deep into debt because we can't afford to wait until we have the cash to buy the flat screen. We need it now, and we're willing to pay 25
Three
cents on the
times.
dollar,
Well,
right?
three times what it actually costs by the time it's
By the
paid
time
off.
you finish paying it.
Mhm.
So if you just look at the prodigal son, it says he came to his senses. And our book, our work, we have a business and we have a foundation, a nonprofit that when people can't afford the books, we give them away for free. We do training for free. And we do it because our goal is to reverse that data. Prosperity Now nonprofit has done a study and said if nothing changes in Black America, the net worth of Black America by 2053 would be zero. And so what we're trying to do is really close this wealth gap one family at a time. We're open to everyone, but as you know, the priority need in America from a financial perspective is Black America. And so our priority is Black people. We don't limit our work to Black people, but we are unapologetically focused as a priority on the Black community.
Yeah. Delayed gratification is a concept that hasn't really been passed down. Um, well, in recent generations,
Right,
you know, and like my parents, my mother bought our school clothes on layaway. I mean,
right.
our Easter clothes on layaway. That's how we got things. I don't even know if they even had a credit card. If they did, they didn't tell us about them. It wasn't like kids didn't know what was going on with parents' money back then. They didn't get that was called grown folks business. But there is and this is something I tell teenagers. My daughter, she's 29 now, but when she was in college, we wrote a book together for teen girls. And one of the chapters is about finances. And we
Mm,
just gave them some small things that they could do as teenagers to avoid fees and to not spend every dollar. One thing is don't spend every dollar you get
right.
as a teenager. If you start that as a habit, if you get $20, don't spend the 20.
Yeah.
Spend half and then or don't spend any. If you don't really have anything to spend it on, you don't have to spend it. So the habits are really they're taught or they're not taught, but they're acquired very early on.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. That's why if you read through my books, I don't think the word financial literacy is ever mentioned. Sometimes I mention it because that's what people assume we're doing. But I
Mm-hmm.
was financially literate in my 20s, but I was a financial fool. I mean, I was licensed to preach when I was 23, and I traded in a paid for Chevy to buy a Cadillac on credit because I thought preachers drove Cadillacs. I mean, that's just foolishness. And so we're talking about a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And in the book, one of the things I do in this book is an update of a previous book. I talk about the history of credit because, as you indicated, most of our parents didn't have credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
One, because just credit cards in general were not available for the average person. And it
Uh-huh.
wasn't really until the 70s that credit cards and credit became as available as it is. And now we have more credit cards in the country than we have people. So
Right.
uh, and it's
Yes.
not that getting out of debt does not make you rich, but getting out of debt is the first step towards
Yes.
lifestyle of delayed gratification, the lifestyle of spending what you have, because credit cards give us the feeling and the impression that we have more than we do, because once you spend all your money, you use the credit card to buy more than you really can afford. So that's why we call the book and the movement Say Yes to No Debt. We start with debt because if you don't start with debt, it doesn't matter how much money you make. What matters is how much money you keep.
Right. Do you have a copy of your book?
I do.
So
Uh,
you can show the cover so people can know what they're getting when they get um,
yeah,
something. And Desiree is she's typing in some information in the chat. That's what I was checking when I was looking down.
yeah, she
For
follows
the
me around.
yes.
She this is so if you can you see the book?
You have to put it close to you.
I'm close to
Close
me.
to
Oh
you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Uh-huh.
good, good. So
Mhm.
this is the book, and we also have a special version for churches. We have a faith-based version. It's a different color, same content, same principles, but it helps churches use this in Sunday school, Bible study, and we elevate the biblical principles. So this book is primarily used in the workplace. We have a few companies that are using this curriculum in the workplace because the data shows that people who are experiencing financial stress, they're less productive, they're more inclined for absenteeism, and
Mm.
companies now are embracing the idea that they can increase productivity if they offer their employees financial education and financial support outside of their salaries.
Okay. And now churches are starting to teach more about financial literacy. In years past, they didn't. That the in the 90s, I guess it was when the prosperity that
Right.
that gospel took over. And that's not financial literacy or anything. That's really uh
That's witchcraft. That's what it is.
well, it's not biblical.
Right. No, it's not. It's just not.
No, it's
And,
just
and
not. The philosophy is not at all, and it gets people really it turns once people get caught up in it and they see that it's not real, uh a lot of them will stop going to church completely. It
yeah,
turns them off of church
yeah, because
altogether.
the preachers get rich and the people stay broke, and the people are putting their seeds in and standing in $500 lines, and the
Right.
preachers buying a new Rolls Royce, and the preachers buying a jet, and the people are losing money.
Yeah.
And
It's the long and the short of it.
a lot of the churches like mine, which I would just call normal church, we
Mhm.
end up getting a lot of the casualties from those other churches. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of my work was really trying to develop a coherent, non-belligerent response to the tremendous growth of the prosperity ministry. And you have to know that people in churches like mine were the ones sending those guys money. They couldn't stay on TV and make as much money as they did unless they got broad support. We have found that when we meet with churches, when we meet with groups like the Deltas and the Zetas, they are thrilled to know that there is a strategy, that there is a program, that there are resources available that are written that are for Black people, created by Black people, and it's not highbrow intellectualism. It's basically telling my story. When people find out that I'm willing to share with them the mistakes I made and how I was able to reverse my lifestyle to become who I am, it's encouraging to them to know if I can do it. Listen, I was running from bill collectors every single week and ended up on the board of a bank that loaned money to the banks that wouldn't give me a credit card. So my life has changed drastically, but didn't change by magic or even by prayer. It changed with some doing some very specific behavioral changes, attitude changes, lifestyle changes, and if I could do it, anybody can.
The thing about prayer, which is the same as with faith, without works is dead. So you can, if you are praying and saying you have faith for being debt free, but you're not doing anything to meet that goal, you're just still using having the same habits.
Right.
And it becomes increasingly difficult because of the interest that people don't really calculate. The compound interest makes it very difficult to pay off credit card debt and any kind of high interest debt. Um, and even mortgages, the first 10 years of paying a mortgage goes
Right.
almost all of it goes to interest. And
Exactly.
the only benefit you really get, hopefully, is if the market increases the value of your home.
Right.
So at least you have the equity. And I hope I'm not
If you own a home, but
if you own a home,
just
yes.
about 60% of us don't own a home.
No,
We
no,
have
no.
the
That's true.
lowest home ownership rate among all groups in the country. But you're
Mhm.
right. We talk about home ownership in the book. Now, home ownership is not the right move for everybody all the time. But what we want is for people, if you're not going to own a home, if you're going to rent, it should be a part of your strategy and not because you don't think you can afford it, not because you don't think it's a good idea. And so we talk about that in the book also.
Right. And because some people, they buy too much house trying
Right.
to impress or whatever, and they end up not being able to keep it. So, you don't want to overbuy when you do that. And
Right.
now the interest rates are high. We were fortunate. We did a refi when the interest rates were low. And about 6 months after that, they went up right after because we got a 2.9. And I don't know when it'll be back down to that amount for
Yeah,
mortgages.
I
But
got a 375 right after the rates went up, but I was locked in, so they couldn't change it. Um,
right.
but it's important for our people to know. And what we do is we teach groups how to use the book as a conversation piece, because what we've also discovered is that people make more progress and they're more likely to change their lifestyle and increase their wealth when they do it together. So to go back to economics, economics start as group education. And if we get educated together, then we're more likely to invest together and to build together because we don't do this alone. Every immigrant group that comes to this country focuses on group economics. We used to. We
Hmm.
used integration, I think, became the mirage
Killed
that
it.
we bought into, yeah,
It killed it.
and it killed our proclivity to work together and stick together.
Yeah, we were looking for something else when we already had something of great value.
Right,
You
right,
know, it's kind of like the spouse who has a great spouse, the person that has a great spouse, but the grass is always greener on the other side. And then they get there and then they say, oh my God, it's not what I saw. And then they lose what they already had. And so that's kind of what happened to us, unfortunately. And I don't think we'll ever get it back because you can't recreate it now.
right.
And I tell my daughter, I told her, I wish she could like just go back in time and see what we had because we had very strong communities. Um, I grew up in a church where it was families.
Right.
It was father, mother, children. The whole church was families, and we all worked together, and we lived in the same community too. So that's the other thing. We weren't spread from pillar to post like people are now.
Yeah, and part of that culture was when we celebrated each other.
Yeah.
We now are so fragmented. There are times when if we do well, we don't even want people to know, especially family members, because there's so much hatred. But what we did at First Baptist in this program on Sunday morning during our normal worship service, we would stop the service and give people a chance to testify on their financial gains, whether it was paying off a mortgage, paying off student loans. And so we create a culture where our members celebrated each other's successes and
Okay.
to recapture that historical commitment that we had to each other. And it's possible. It's possible to do in clusters. It's possible to do in organizations, and it's possible to do in families. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wake up every day encouraged because I get letters and email and testimonies from people who are thanking us for the work that we're doing. Right now, we've got 66 people that just started our Train the Trainer program last week, and they're being trained as facilitators to go out into their organizations and communities to take people through the process. So it's very exciting, and I appreciate a person like yourself who really does appreciate that it's possible. Many people that I talk to in your position, they're so negative that they don't think it's possible. They think that what I'm talking about doesn't make sense. So it's nice
Oh.
to be with you on a Tuesday evening. Uh, somebody who believes in the possibility of what we're doing.
Oh, I've lived it. I when I was really naive and idealistic in my 20s and 30s, I had started a women's business group and I did the urban economic summits. I really thought, I was in my world changing years. But no, I'm not in. What I learned is that I cannot change the world. I'm good if I can change myself and my four walls, the people in my four walls, my children, my stepchildren, and a few other people. But you know, it takes the energy of people when they're young and naive and idealistic a lot of times to make change. You know, they
Yeah,
have that belief in the impossible, so to speak,
that's right.
and you need that. So, you know, so thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and thank you for the amazing work you're doing. I'm glad to know I meet people from time to time that are doing this kind of work. Are you familiar with Sammy Holloway in Memphis? Or do you know about
No, I'm not. But if you know him, I'd like to meet him. Memphis is an important city.
him? Okay, he's a pastor there, and he's in my first book and my second book on the Black church and economics. I have two books on economics. So, but he did the piece about getting his church members to support Black-owned businesses, like
Mhm.
making them think about it and do it and have it as a mission. So
Great.
it was kind of comparable to what you're doing, but in a different,
Yeah.
taking a different
What
angle.
church? What church is he with?
Breath of Life Christian
Okay,
Center
good. I'll
in
look him up.
Memphis. Sammy
I'll,
Holloway.
all righty. I'll tell him
Amazing.
you sent me too.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much and have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Keep up the good work.
Oh, you too.
Thank you.
Okay. My voice is holding up, even though I'm still a little congested, but that was a great interview. A person after my own heart, I believe. I've been practicing and believing group economics basically really not my whole adult life. I was doing it as a teenager. I just believed it, and my dad did it, and so that's just I was raised that way, and I've always believed in it and practice it. So, um, we have our next guest, and this is also a doctor, but she has written her memoir on going from pain to purpose. And I uh, don't know how to pronounce her name, and I'm not going to try because I would just butcher it, I'm sure. So I will let her say her name for me, and it's called Turn the Page, Grow from Pain to Purpose. So as soon as she comes on, I think her first name is, I don't know. I can't pronounce it. And she was on screen, then she went away. So something happened with the camera. She's not on camera now. So we'll wait for her to come on and so we can see her face because her audio's on. But anyway, I hope you all have benefited from the first two interviews. Okay, we got you on camera. And can you say something so we know we
Absolutely. How are you?
Oh, how are you doing? Now I
I'm
need you to
doing
pronounce
great.
both of your names because I don't know. I don't want to butcher them.
That's fine. Thank you so much. It's Dr. Wajeehah Al-Uqdah.
Okay, your last name is Al-Uqdah.
Al-Uqdah.
Al-Uqdah. Okay. Oh,
Yes, yes, yes.
all
So
right.
Wajeehah.
Now, what's the origin of your name?
So it's Arabic,
Okay. So
Arabic name.
are you from an African country or you were
No, actually, my parents gave me this name. I was born into Islam. So
okay? All right. Okay,
yeah,
great. Well, and you are a doctor of.
humanitarianism.
Okay, then now tell us what that means exactly.
Exactly. Given my service to the community, I definitely help out mostly all of the nonprofit organizations here in Dallas, Texas. I speak and I help people change their lives, transform.
Okay. Now, are you in ministry or?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no, you're not in ministry. Okay, I
No,
know. So you do it more from the nonprofit side.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay, and you are going to be in Houston next month at the National Black Book Festival, so I get to meet you in person then. And
Yes.
so, and you have a book, and can you put your book on the screen so we can see it?
Yes.
Uh, turn turn the page. I've seen that cover. I think you did some promotion or something with it. Now, what is that? What plant is that on the cover?
This is a pine cone, right?
Okay,
It's a
okay.
pine cone with a book. So I was inspired by my mother to use this as the pine cone, right? Um, it's a symbolism of the third eye, the pineal
Okay.
gland. So I definitely had an enlightenment. I went through um, God just giving me all of the wisdom and the knowledge to give to other people and also heal myself. So I use that. The title "Turn the Page, Grow from Pain to Purpose." I I got that in a dream. I didn't know what to name my book. I knew that I wanted to write something raw, something real, and something healing too. And I didn't know what name. And I went to sleep and I woke up like, turn the page, because I was actually stuck in a chapter of my own life. And I had a lot of people that's, still learning to turn the page in their own lives. And yeah, I definitely use turn the page as that.
Now, in your memoir, do you uh, start from I was born X and then what happened? Or do you start from, a lot of times people will start a memoir from a crucible in their lives or a period where it was dramatic or
Yes,
traumatic, one of the two or the both, and then they move from there.
right. So I do start from my pain. I actually
Okay.
take readers through, the darkest moments of my life, and I show them it's a roadmap. It's not just a memoir. It's not just a book about my life. This book is about helping people face their pain and their struggles and how to heal from it. Um, but I definitely start off with who I used to be and who I am today, coming from being broken to becoming whole, from incarceration to inspiration.
Mm. So, your years of incarceration, um, most people, well, a lot of times people being behind bars is a life-changing period where they really get to kind of sit and reassess. If
Right,
they can stay
absolutely.
safe, if they can stay safe
Yeah,
while they're
yeah,
there. Is that what happened for you?
definitely. It's been over 30 years, but I was still stuck in that chapter of my life. I was a teen that made a mistake, and I held on to that for years. And I was listening to a lot of people who were suffering, and not just from incarceration, but from their past, and not knowing exactly how to move forward. And when I would tell people my story, and I wanted to give them like, hey, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. Not to, make it seem as if it was, this adventure. I wanted people to know that it's hard, and but you can get through it. You can get through it with God. So it is definitely a challenge. And when I wrote this book, that was the hardest part. The hardest part was, being vulnerable and, telling people my truth. And the struggles. That was the hardest part, but it's been years, and I'm finally I healed from it. So, and I continue to grow every day, and I want to help those who have a troubled past, because it's not just incarceration. It's people that's never been incarcerated that still haven't turned the page in their own lives right here, in the world. And it's about growing from the pain that you suffer from, and finding your purpose and living up to that.
Yeah, our teen years can be some of the most crucial, vulnerable years because when you're a teenager, you are really stupid, but you think
Right.
that you know more than your parents, or your parents are just, out of touch and old
Yeah.
fashioned. They don't want you to have any fun,
Yeah.
and none of that is true. I mean, for most parents, I'm sure. I know I thought that about my parents. So, I
Right.
thought they just didn't want me to have fun, and they just didn't understand. And,
Right.
but they do, because they were teenagers, and they
Yeah.
know how treacherous it is. And if you can get past those years to either further your education or to be gainfully employed. So when you have a goal, when you have something that you're looking forward to, then you can get on the other side. But a lot of times people make mistakes in their teens. And unfortunately, if some people can make a mistake and just get like a slap on the wrist and move on.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
that doesn't happen
Absolutely.
for everybody.
And that's true. I don't blame anyone for the things that happened to me. But I was living in anger. I was living in a place that um, things that had happened to me, and I just held on to that, and I took it out on everybody, which led me to incarceration. And while I was there, I dug down in myself because I knew it wasn't me. My family knew it wasn't me. Um, and I really hadn't faced what had taken place that caused me to be angry at everyone, including myself. So I healed definitely while I was there, but I really grew and once I was released, and I
Okay.
continued to grow.
So was there any one thing or a series of things that happened that changed you, put you on a better path?
Absolutely.
Was it something that made a light bulb go off and say, okay, I need to change. I need to do something different. This is not working. Or this,
Yeah, yeah.
can you share that?
Um, I went through. I hit 40. I'm just gonna keep it real. I turned 40, and life just started lifing, and I didn't know what was going on, and I had a health scare. And I remember in 2015 where I asked God. I said, well, I kind of made a goal, but it was a prayer as well, and I made a 5-year goal that in 2020 I would have a 2020 vision. I would have a vision on my life. I would know where I'm going, and I'm going to do better. I'm going to grow towards you. I'm going to get you to make these decisions for me and not me make them for myself. And then 2020, I turned 40 and there was COVID.
Mm.
And during that time, I'm telling you, this is physical. I didn't have the 2020 vision. I actually had double vision in my right eye. And I didn't know like what was happening. I felt like I had a kind of stroke on one side of my body. And I had to lay off work. I was managing and I had to step away to figure out. And I did that. And I spoke with different eye doctors, my physician, and everybody was saying it was all in my head. And they didn't see anything. So I started to talk to a psychiatrist to see, what is it? And she wasn't really saying the things that I wanted to hear either. So I'm like, okay. She was telling me I was more like burnt out. It was just a woman's thing that I was going through. So instead of listening to all of these people and trying to get them to figure out what was wrong with me and what was happening, I went to God. And, you know, he was speaking to me. Voice is very loud. And I said, well, maybe I need to exercise. So I started exercising. And I remember this time I'm walking around the park and he said, you don't need to be listening to that music, right? So I'm like, okay, what do I listen to? And the voice said, motivational speakers. So I then went through my phone and I put on the first person that came up with Mr. Les Brown. And I love Les Brown with all of me. Like, I know him personally, but I don't. But he helped me, and he started speaking to me. Like, everything he was saying was resonating with me. I was holding on to things that I needed to let go of. I listened to him every day for like 2 years straight. Every single day I listened to him, and he helped me get it out. And that was the scare. And then, things started to get better. When I started healing myself, things got better. I didn't have the eye issue anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, right? I mean, that is a story. It could go longer. But, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've heard a lot about Les Brown. I don't think I've ever listened to him speak, but the different things work for different people at different times. Now,
Right.
turning 40, this is what I tell people who haven't turned 40 yet, like people in their 30s. Like my daughter's 29, and all of my stepchildren, they're all over 40 now. My stepchildren, but my daughter is 29, and I told them when they all turned 21, I told them 40 comes quick.
Woo.
Because when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're still young in your mind. I'm still young. You feel like you got forever. You're gonna be 20 in your 20s and 30s forever. Then all of a sudden you're 40. So you can't really say you're young anymore, not like a 20 and 30-year-old. You got to get serious. And different things happen at different decades. 50 is another milestone you haven't reached yet from what you've said. So
Yeah.
50 is an extension of 40, but in your 50s you try to get some things done that you didn't get done in your 40s. But 40 to me is one of the most impactful ages, because it's the difference between being young and not being young anymore. And you still, 40 is the new 20 or whatever. I forgot this thing, 50 is the new 30. But until you get 40, you still are kind of under an illusion that you're going to live forever. Like you're not going to get old. Your parents are old. All those people are old. They were just born old.
No, that was my thinking. Oh goodness, that's so true.
So, but I'm glad that listening to Les Brown, and I'm assuming he's positive, and he really tells you how to take control of whatever.
Yes,
You are the answer. You with God's help, of course, but that
absolutely
it's in your hands. Your solutions are in your hands.
Absolutely. And that's what made me write this book. I didn't just write it for me. I wrote it for every woman and every teen, every soul that feels like their past disqualifies them from having a powerful future. So it doesn't. I want them to know that.
Well, it's true. And if you just look biblically, Paul was, killing Christians, and then he became.
Not sure what happened.
Not sure. What are you not able to hear me? Okay. Now, it's a Paul in the Bible. He was actually killing Christians, and he became they call him the best salesman, one of the world's best salesmen, or selling Christianity. So any person can turn their lives around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Some people are afraid of change.
That's true. That's true.
Some people are afraid of change, and some people are afraid of even revealing their truth. I mean, I could have held on to my story forever, because I remember telling people my story, and they would say, "Girl, you lying." I'm like, okay, well, why would I lie about something like that? Like, no, it's the truth. And I'm just being me, I don't want to be who people want me to be. I'm being me.
Yeah, well, there's a saying, you don't look like what you've been through, or lots of times people will assume because of where you are today, not you, a person,
Right.
that somehow the school of hard knocks wasn't part of the experience.
Right,
And so,
right,
you know,
exactly.
sometimes a person who is most accomplished has been through the most stuff.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And the best way of helping someone, I feel like, is telling you my story, what I've been through, and who you see today, who you've seen for these last several years, had a story from her past that I had to get through. And it's harder to tell somebody because I've had people kind of look at me, they're telling me their story, what they're going through, and they can't see themselves getting out of it. And then when I reveal that, hey, I know you can because I've been through this, this, and this, and look where I'm at today, it's before telling them the story is, no, you don't understand. That kind of attitude. That's the
Mm-hmm.
feedback I would get. It's like, no, you don't understand. You would never understand. Like, it's hard. I'm never gonna get through it. Okay. And I still don't think a lot of people believed until after I wrote the book. Until after I wrote the book that they say, oh, okay, she was telling us the truth. She really, and I use my story to help people. I don't use it to do any other, just to help people. So my book is also a roadmap. It's a roadmap to help the
Okay.
readers, you know, face their pain and heal from it.
Now, a lot of times when people write memoirs, their family or friends uh, read it, and sometimes well, they may not have the reaction that you want, or they may have an even better reaction. So my question is, have any of your family members read it, or close
Yes,
friends,
yes.
and did they react the way? What was their reaction?
Um,
And what kind of responses are you getting back from people close to you?
yes. So my family was excited about it. You know, I think that some parts of my family, um, didn't really share with me how they felt about it, um, because there are parts in there where, things that, again, that has happened to me that I revealed. And now it kind of puts you on guard of, you know, um, what could have potentially happened, to your loved ones, So I think that some part of it, um, maybe keeping it a secret, or not revealing so much. But that's
Mm-hmm.
a part of the memoir or the book, because it
Yeah,
goes
part of
around.
the process.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I didn't reveal names. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Some of the names were just made up.
They're changed
Um,
to protect the innocent or the guilty.
absolutely, because it wasn't about anyone else. It's about me. It's
Mm-hmm.
about my healing. So, um, some things you just know. When you're family, you're gonna know when you read it. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah. So they were
Okay,
excited.
so tell us a little bit about what you do day to day, like for your profession.
Oh yes, so I'm a quality specialist. I work for a business where I do quality work. We make medicine, so I ensure that it's definitely pure,
Oh,
before it's
okay.
being shipped out. Um, on a day, I'm still writing. I'm writing my next book. I'm also a co-author of a book with Ms. Dr. Melanie Bonita, who actually nominated me for.
Yeah, Melanie's going to be at the book festival.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're co-authoring a book. Well, I am a co-author to her book of The Daily Dose of Declaration for Women. That will be released here and are published in 2026. We're looking forward to that. I'm writing my own book. It's called Unlocked: When Purpose Meets Power. It's taken me a while. I'm not sure when I'm going to be done with it, but I am looking at sometime in 2026 as well. But that's what I do on a daily. I go to work. I take care of my boys. I have 3 boys. They're great.
How old are they? How old are your boys?
I have a 27-year-old. I have a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old.
Oh, okay. All right. So you got one really grown one and then 2 teenagers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm excited that they don't give me any trouble.
That's a blessing.
Yes, absolutely. That is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. So now the book that you're doing with Melanie, is that a devotional?
It is. It's a devotional. Okay. We also did the Daily Dose of Prayer. This book here. We did this book together.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I think I've seen that cover.
This is also a devotional. And she reached out to me. I don't know how she got my information, but she reached out to me when I was in the process of writing Turn the Page, Growth and Pain of Purpose. And she called me through Facebook Messenger. And when she called me, she said, she gave me her name and everything. And she was wondering if I wanted to co-author with her. And I was like, yes. And she told me about the book. And I was like, wow, because at that time she's asking me to do this, I was going through the whole health scare, right? And writing my own book. And the thing that was getting me through was prayer. And the name of the book was The Daily Dose of Prayer. And I'm like, wow. So she told me what I would, how the book would go, how I would co-author in it. And we took a scripture and then we wrote about the scripture. We kind of broke it down and how it relates to our life, made it a prayer. So I told her, I said, well, I'm not Christian. And she said, okay. And she said, you're a woman of God. And I said, that is the absolute truth. Because I do not subscribe to, any religion. Even though I was raised Muslim, I am a spiritual person. I'm spiritual. I believe in God. And I believe that everyone, if you're doing the work of good and you're doing good, then that's all that matters to me. And she felt the same way. And I loved it. Some people doesn't accept the fact that I was raised as a Muslim. It's, the questions coming in and, the doubt and all of that. So it was very refreshing to have her accept that.
Well, Melanie is, that's what I want. She is very active and she's always on the go doing things. And I follow on, we follow each other on social media. So I keep up with what she's doing on a regular basis. And she's always traveling somewhere. And she spreads a positive message to start the day. That's what one thing is.
Yes.
It's good. It's good to do that. It's good to start the day with positivity.
Absolutely.
So, well, give us a look at your book cover one more time, your latest book that you've already done, Turn the Page, and you'll be able to, you can purchase it online now if you like to, but you can also purchase it at the National Black Book Festival when you come, whoever comes in October 23rd Thursday the 25th in Houston. So we look forward to seeing you there, and congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to meet you guys.
You're welcome. Can't wait. It's coming up quick.
I know. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
I was hoping I was going to meet Rhonda. I just knew that Rhonda was going to be here.
She couldn't come on tonight. She had work. Work went over time, so she couldn't come on. She know, but she'll be at the festival.
Absolutely.
With bells
I see
on.
that she has a Meet the World. Is that the name of the website?
Meet the World Image Solutions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Meet the World Image Solutions. Okay, I need to remember. I've been trying to look for it, but I can't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Meet the World Image Solutions. That's where you can find it. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next month.
Awesome. See you then.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. So we are on our last interview, but also our 800th guest. So for those who have watched the show over the years, we had our 5th anniversary show in July, where we celebrated 5 years of doing Black Authors Matter TV. But we always celebrate milestones, and every 100 guests we celebrate. So, and these are not interviews, these are individual different guests. So we've had 800 guests on the show since we started in July of 2020. And Chardai Powell is our 800th guest, and she's also social media manager for Black Odyssey Media. So welcome to Black Authors Matter TV, and congratulations on being our 800th guest.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. And you were actually going to be the 801.
Yeah.
That's 801. Mm-hmm. But we had a change in the first interview for the show. The person who was supposed to come on couldn't. And that person was a new person. So we ended up putting a previous guest in that slot, which meant you got to be guest number 800. So, so anyway, Chardai Entice told me you are a whiz with social media, and you also were a previous bookstore owner.
Bookseller.
A bookseller. Did you have a brick and mortar, or did you have like a mobile?
I was a bookseller at Loyalty Bookstores. So they have 2 locations. Both are in DC right now.
Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, were you the owner of the store?
I was not. No, the owner is Hannah Oliver Depp. I worked for her for like 3 years.
Oh, okay. But you were in the book selling, the retail side of books.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there are lots of different sides to books. There's retail, and my husband and I had a brick and mortar store for 10 years. In Houston, cushcity.com, which is still the name of our parent company. So we did that for 10 years full time. We were both full time in that. And then book marketing is what I do every day. Yeah. And then the National Black Book Festival is our annual event, and we celebrate our 18th anniversary this year. And we have this video podcast, which we did before podcasting was a real thing.
I know that.
So all these people are new at podcasting. We've been doing it for 5 years, and we do it every Tuesday. So we have been consistent. We take a Tuesday off. Now, out of an average year, it'll be 4 Tuesdays that we don't do this show. Normally it's during the Christmas holidays, the 4th of July week, and the week of after the book festival, because the week after the festival, Ron and I are both exhausted.
Yeah. So, you deserve rest.
We need rest. So we take that week off. So tell us about you, Chardai, and how you went from being a bookseller to some of the other things you've done in the industry, and then became social media manager for Black Odyssey Media.
Yes. So starting off at the bookstore, I had graduated from Columbia College Chicago. I had to move back because it was during the pandemic. And I really wanted to work specifically for a Black-owned bookstore. So I was emailing around and just kind of emailing all the Black bookstores in the DMV, and Hannah had got back to me. And we just kind of clicked from there. And the more that I worked there, I was branching out onto social media, seeing about Bookstagram and then Book Talk, and then more specifically Black Bookstagram and Black Book Talk, and like learning about indie authors. And that's when I started bringing the authors into the bookstore, and creating our TikTok around that, and bringing in just a different group of audience, like people that just didn't know that we were there. So after that, I think Black Odyssey Media had reached out. Yeah, because I still have the screenshot. They had reached out to Loyalty, introducing themselves. And I looked them up, and I told my coworker, I was like, oh my gosh, would be like a dream job. And I think I had reached out to Shawanda and Tice, for I think like right after that, just introducing myself, saying that I work at Loyalty, but I love what you're doing. And then kind of fast forwarding from there, she had a position for the social media manager. She asked me, did I want to take a try at it? And I've been doing it for, I think, almost a year. And in between that time, I have created content and making sure that I'm uplifting Black indie authors. And that was like a huge thing of my brand online, was bringing in these indie authors, and you could shop online from Loyalty and you didn't have to go to Amazon. So that's a very big passion of mine, giving like indie authors a platform. And I think with Black Odyssey, they do something so different, where they're bringing in indie authors, giving them the marketing, and the exposure and all of that for a traditional publishing, but still having them have that independent voice.
Okay. So what do you do? What's your average day like as a social media manager?
So I definitely, right when I wake up, because I still have like my 9 to 5 job, I will check our DMs, check the messages. Sometimes I'll do like a check-in on Threads, making sure we're interacting, not just like liking stuff, but commenting on people's reviews of us. I wanted to feel like there's actually a person that cares behind our account. So I'm just constantly trying to make sure that I'm in community with people, making sure that I keep Entice on the know and that she's informed of what's going on in social media, and creating graphics and fun, I feel like fun content. I try to bring influencers, Black influencers, into our page if we have a release coming out. So it's really daily. It looks different every day, but I just want to make sure that I am talking to our followers and trying to just get us some more exposure on a daily.
So now, you mentioned a few things, and I know that people who are recently out of college, I'll say it like that, know all about this stuff.
Yeah.
But some of us who went to college a few years back, we are, for me personally, I don't try to do everything, but I am interested in hearing about it. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. That's it. I'm on a TikTok. I don't have a TikTok app on my phone. I heard you mention Threads, and I want you to talk about each one. And then, but I hear about Book Talk and Bookstagram and all of that. So let's start with Threads.
Yes.
Now, Threads seems like I heard about Threads that people were switching from Twitter to Threads when Twitter became X. And what is Threads?
Threads, I think that's the perfect description. At least that's what I take away from it. It's still conversations being put out, and instead of like hashtag, well, it's kind of like a hashtag. It goes, you have like one hashtag and it transfers to that. It's basically like the topic of conversation. I like it. I think it's a great space for the book space, recommendations, still for people that might not want to do like visual content, like videos and pictures and all that. I think it's just like a conversation, like a great place to converse and talk about books. At least that's what I gather.
So it's less visual in terms of like Yeah, Instagram is all visual.
Yeah, with
Mhm,
graphics and everything.
mhm.
I would
Yeah,
say, yeah.
it's all pictures or flyers or videos.
That's
Not
usually, yeah,
much, not much
yeah.
with words. You know, very
Yeah,
little
very like Threads is
more
heavy.
word driven.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And now Bookstagram, and I'll say explain to me, but also explain to the audience that may not
Yeah.
understand what Bookstagram is exactly. I know it's books on Instagram,
Yeah.
basically, but how does it work?
So yes, I call it Bookstagram now too. I'm like at this point. So it's a book account that you have. It's a community driven space. And I specifically, when I'm focusing on my personal Bookstagram, it is dedicated to giving Black authors a space. That's where I review most of my things. So you're posting your reviews and what you think and like what you're recommending and our questions, and it's a way for us to interact with authors. And I think of Bookstagram and like book creators and book talk as kind of like the booksellers of online, because they are who the booksellers, like when people come into the store, they're asking us stuff that they've seen on Bookstagram and Book Talk. So I just feel like a community driven space.
Now, is it a place on Instagram, or is it or is it like Black Twitter in that
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Black Twitter wasn't really a place?
Yes.
It was more of Black people on Twitter.
Yeah,
What they
that's
were
how I
talking
think of it.
about.
Yeah.
So when Bookstagram, let me see, how do I ask this?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a page, or is it just people talking about books on Instagram?
I would say, yeah, it's people, book creators talking about, and not even like book creators, anybody can join the space. It's the Instagram app, but you're just hashtagging so that it's easier to find.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's the Instagram app. But a
Okay.
lot of people will have their book pages separate from like, your personal everyday page.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So people do that on Facebook too, but they have a page for their books. I'm an author, but I tried that for a couple of my books.
Yeah.
But it was too much work. I don't do it. I don't do it anymore. It was too much to try to keep up with all that. So
keep up with the reviews, because you can be in the hashtags, because you have your your Instagram page and your social media. So it's really just like following book creators, following authors. That's what puts you in the Bookstagram.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
so
who you
you're
follow.
in it. You're in it.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm like, it's Instagram. That's all it is. That's the
Okay.
location.
Well, I know I'm not the only one who
No.
didn't understand exactly what it was. So that's why I ask questions that the audience wants to know the answers to, that they may not have the opportunity, or too bashful, or don't want to seem like they don't know what's going on. I know I hear about it, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So it is really kind of like Black Twitter, but it's more using the hashtags and about who you follow.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to follow more people. I have I don't even have a personal Instagram. I use the book festival's Instagram, but
I'll send you a long list of Black book creators. A long
okay.
list.
Yeah, so because I need to pick up more followers.
Yes.
We have about on our Facebook, we have almost 100,000 people. We're 200 people short of 100,000 on Facebook.
I think you can absolutely, and they're connected, so you can interact a little bit on the explore page. You'll have 200 followers in a week.
Yeah, I just haven't. I need to, because I'm sick of being at 99,000 and something. Normally when we get close to the festival, we get like a rush of followers. So I'm sure it's going to happen in the next month or so. But that took 10 years of work and money. You have to pay Facebook. If for people to see your stuff on Facebook, you're paying them. unless you are posting something that goes viral and you don't have any control over that. You don't know what's going to go viral unless it's something crazy. And there's some crazy stuff there. There's some video. There's this one young lady. I don't know. And this is random. This is off topic. But there's one young lady on Facebook. And I have hit the thing that says show fewer of these videos. But it's not, it doesn't work. So I may have to just cut it off. But she it's a young lady, young Black lady. Her whole thing on Facebook is eating.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And she'll eat, and this is a young person. She'll have a platter of food that's like something I would feed a family of 4. And she sits there and eats it.
It's a huge thing. Like even it's the hashtag Foodstagram, food talk, like food content, especially around the pandemic. Things like boils, like people would get large amount of foods, and it's the more views you get, they're getting paid to like do things like that.
Okay, well, some things are not worth it for money, but it's up to them. I just keep seeing her every time she's on, like every other month, she weighs 20 more pounds. And she's gonna eat herself into an early grave. You can't.
She just might.
She's not eating vegetables. It's all starch and meat.
Oh yeah, and it's she's definitely getting paid.
I don't. Okay, so anyway,
just a little tidbit.
Okay, yeah, that was an aside. So it's like I'm not willing to do crazy stuff for likes or views. I'm just not going to do it. So if it takes a little bit longer, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now book talk is like TikTok for books.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Now I don't have a TikTok app just because now I do see TikTok videos on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
You know how they come up and then you can see them. But I haven't gotten, but I hear about book talk on TikTok with books, and I hear all these stories or urban legends. I don't know if they're real or not. It's a lot of stuff isn't real. I don't know, it's just people saying stuff, but it's not really real.
Yeah.
So tell me about book talk and how people are utilizing book talk or TikTok for books.
Yes. So I think that, and Bookstagram, was a space first, but I think that Book Talk opened up another lane because there's something about videos and visuals and that coming across that. There's actually been a recent conversation of a huge creator, Jaleesa, who was one of the first people in the space. Because at first when you would search in hashtags like Black books or Black book talk, just trying to find Black authors, it was a lot harder. It was very minimum. I don't even think there was anybody. And then there were creators like Jaleesa, for example, that came into the space and started making video content. And people started following her for reviews and things like that. And I think that created community, and like publishers, it was a little bit easier for them to see these videos being put out. And again, at least in the bookseller space, because that's where I started, I would see people coming in, asking me, showing me these Black book creators videos and saying like, do you have this book? Can you order this book? It just opens up a whole new lane. I think that TikTok in itself as an app, it's on a whole different level. So I think introducing Black book creators to that space, it gives access to publishers. It is helping these creators with booking events, because the event owners are seeing them and seeing how excited and seeing how they can market a book. I truly think that Book Talk and like Bookstagram is on its way to like changing the publishing space. When we think of like publishers, they are, when their marketing plans, a lot of it on the back of the books, a lot of it's in its plans is like, we need to grab these influencers. And I think that's a big thing that Black Odyssey does. We try to connect with TikTok because it's big. It's really, really big. So, and I think it's only going to get bigger. So I would say to make one, you know, just
Okay.
think about it, you know.
I wouldn't know what to do. But okay, so what do people do like on, when the content on BookTok, how long is it? Just reels? Is it 30 seconds? Is it a minute? What length is it? What are they doing when they go on? What are they?
So TikTok can go up to 10 minutes for its, I'm trying to think, is that the max? Yes, 10 minutes is it's a max. So sometimes it's rare, but you know, sometimes people will take the 10 minutes, maybe not the whole 10 minutes, to talk book reviews. There's book hauls. The fun, exciting thing about TikTok is the sounds that you can use. So there could be like a really popular sound from a song, and it's like trending just on TikTok in general. And you as a book influencer might take that sound, and you not have that many followers, and that one sound makes your video go trending, and like these are the videos that are being recommended. I think the fun thing is that like your content, the way that people interact with it can change overnight. So yeah, hauls, reels, people get on TikTok live and they'll like talk to authors or just like each other. Another community space, I think it's just more like video content friendly.
Well, it's really interesting how the trends are changing or expanding. And publishers are always looking for an easy way to find people whose books will sell.
Yes.
Because they're not really trying to do a lot of work.
It's true. It's true.
They want to publish the book, and then the person they're looking that right now, I know they look for influencers in terms of they're looking for your social media following in terms of that's part of your pitch. Is if you're pitching to a publisher to get a book deal, they want to know how many followers you have.
Yeah.
You know, and so now the music, like I know what you're talking about with the music, but I thought you don't have to get permission to use the music, or is it like 8 bars? I think it used to be 8 bars that you could use without getting permission.
I feel like it's a little bit different with TikTok. It's really weird because sometimes like the original creator will somehow have got the sound like that is, it belongs to them, because TikTok's pretty strict about that. But there's like a little like circle basically playing the sound. You click that sound and you say, I want to use this sound, and then you put it over your video. So stuff that's already been approved, if TikTok sees it, especially as a business page, like Black Odyssey, we're a business page, so there's certain sounds that I can't use versus like my personal pages with Shar that I can just like grab the sound. So it depends on the type of profile you have.
Okay, so
I know.
Are you able to? Well, I have the segment because we don't have that much time left, but I have it on screen share. So, are you on a laptop?
I am, yes.
Would you be able to pull up something from BookTok?
Absolutely.
So we can see what it is.
Yeah.
You know, an example of what somebody's doing on there.
Yeah. Let me
Should
see.
be, you know.
Okay.
So let's see. Somebody said people keep their social media pages open like it's the television.
It's really because you're watching it, and sometimes I just sit there. I will sit there and watch book content when I should be reading. Okay, so let's see.
That was by Ardella Joy Majet. She had that as a comment.
Oh, that's my mom. That is okay.
That's funny.
So I want to make sure I am doing this right. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen? Okay, great. Okay.
Okay, so this is Jaleesa Reeves, the person that you referenced.
Yes.
Okay. So we can't, do you have your, there's the sound on there.
There we go.
Okay. It's still not coming through.
It's not coming?
I don't hear what she's saying.
Okay, volume's turned up. So
it looks like it's turned up, but I don't know if there's some kind of limit.
Sound coming out. Okay. What I will say is basically.
Well, we can see the closed caption.
You can? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a yes, no, maybe. So she's just rating the books she's read this year. She read 136 books this year.
So she does all 136 or just some of the...
No, I think this is a part. She has it sped up, but she's going to do it in segments.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, she's an avid reader. I'm not able to read that many books because I just, between what I have to do in the show, just my personal responsibilities, I can't do that. But I do see people that do read like over 100 books, and God bless them.
It is.
And most of the books that I read are like full-length novels. I don't read novellas or short books. They're at least 300 pages, sometimes 400, sometimes 500. So those aren't quick reads, But so people come on camera, on BookTok or TikTok, and they talk about some aspects of books. Yes. They could be authors themselves talking about their own like writing process or what happened to them on at a book event or whatever. Or they can be doing like she does. Now, is she an author or she just a reader?
No, she's a book creator.
Influencer. Okay.
Yes, book influencer.
Okay. Well, this has been a great education for me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope that people learn something from the questions that I asked. I didn't see any. Let me see if somebody asked any other questions. I don't see any other questions from the audience. So, and we keep the show on the whole show on Facebook so people can watch it. We also upload it to YouTube, and your individual interview will be on YouTube as well. We normally do that. It'll be next week when that'll be there, but you'll be there, so you'll add. You can take a few seconds of it and add it to your BookTok.
Yes, exactly. Yes, please follow us on Black Odyssey Media.
Okay, I will do that. I have to go in and add some more followers because I've been remiss on doing that. I'm a person who compartmentalizes things. That's how I get so much done. And when I tell you, I have like. I'm working on so much with our event coming up, with the show every week, just, everything that I do.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So thank you so much, Chardai. I really appreciate you being on the show and giving me an education as far as also to our audience. And congratulations on just what you're doing. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay, you're welcome.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. So that's our show for this week, everybody. Next week, I hope Rhonda should be back on with me. And we're excited about the upcoming book festival. And appreciate you all watching and sharing the show every week. I'm Gwen Richardson, and I'm signing off for tonight. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.